Hello everyone, I'm Alex Dykes, and today we're talking about the Los Angeles International Auto Show. Now this is a very different kind of episode than we normally do, so be sure and comment in that comment section down below and tell me if you like this sort of thing, if you want to see more news-related articles or more tips for what to wait for, or what's coming out on the market. Let's just dive right on in. First things first, we have a brand new Subaru WRX this year, 268 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, 6-speed manual transmission, and a CVT. That's the really big news for this year, is a brand new CVT transmission. I know a lot of people don't like CVTs. I'm normally a fan of them, but I'm really not sure what that's going to be like in the Subaru WRX. I would probably just get the 6-speed like I expect most people to buy in something like a WRX. One thing to know is the interior is pretty much shared with the Subaru Impreza, but the exterior is not. It's about 80% different than the regular Subaru Impreza. It's longer, it's wider, etc., and it has a heavily modified chassis, so really all that's actually shared with them are certain interior body parts. Next up, we have the 2015 Chevy Colorado. There was a time where we had a decent selection to choose from in the compact pickup truck market, but those days are really done, and there aren't very many options for shoppers now, so it's even more surprising that GM doubled down and brought us what looks to be a really promising compact pickup truck. Things to know are we have an all-new engine suite versus the last Colorado, so we now have a brand new direct injection 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine, good for 193 horsepower. We have GM's ubiquitous 3.6-liter direct injection V6, good for 302 horsepower. Those are both mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, just like the big pickup trucks from GM. We also have brand new for this year a 2.8-liter diesel four-cylinder engine, good for 197 horsepower and about 367 pound-feet of torque. Now GM hasn't released official numbers on that 2.8-liter diesel yet, so we're going off the international numbers, and they also haven't released a sell date for that diesel engine. It will be late availability, we're told. The Colorado looks pretty good, however on the inside we do have that CUE-based infotainment system that I have found fault with in the Chevy Silverado. Still, this is an awful lot more exciting than anything else out there in the compact pickup truck market. If you're looking at something like a Toyota Tacoma, I would definitely put your purchase on hold so you can actually test drive the Colorado and give that a good try. For Mercedes, we got a chance to see the Mercedes CLA in the flesh for the first time. Everything looks very, very well executed, both on the inside and on the outside. My only complaint is that Mercedes Command still exists there. They haven't done anything new for the infotainment system in the CLA. So instead of giving it something like a pared down version of that new system in the Mercedes S-Class, we just get that same old system that's been hanging around there for a while. The CLA has also spawned a brand new crossover from Mercedes for this year. It's a Mercedes GLA. It's sort of, you know, the CLA given the Subaru Volvo all-wheel drive treatment, jacked up a little bit with a slightly different body. There is, of course, an AMG version of that as well. That's on the stands right there at the LA Auto Show, but I don't have any sales information or pricing information yet on that. Mercedes also brought their new S-Class. That isn't exactly news because they have had the Mercedes S-Class on sale in the US for a while, but what is news are two new engines. We now have an S63, which is a twin-turbo V8, and an S65, which is a twin-turbo V12. And they have all-wheel drive and a 7-speed automatic, brand new in that V12, which is the first time that that combination has ever happened. And I think that when you stomp on the gas, it might just stop the earth from spinning. If you're going to the LA Auto Show, definitely check out the interior of the new S-Class, even if you can't afford to shop for one. It is a gorgeous car. This is probably the best interior available for sale right now, and that includes some of the brands like Bentley and Rolls-Royce. That is a truly excellent interior. It reminds me an awful lot of a concept car interior, except they're actually building it and selling it. Not to be outdone, Jaguar brought their F-Type coupe to the LA Auto Show. This is basically just a hardtop version of the existing and very sexy Jaguar F-Type convertible that we've seen for a while now. They've also announced that they're now going to be putting their 550 horsepower supercharged 5-liter V8 into that F-Type. So this is the same engine that you see in something like a Jaguar XKRS or the brand new Jaguar XJR. It is an absolutely insane engine. It probably sounds the best, however, in the Jaguar XFR, and that's mostly because of the exhaust plumbing that's able to be jammed in the Jaguar XF shape, and it doesn't exactly fit in the F-Type, but it is an absolutely astronomical engine, and the F-Type is probably the sexiest vehicle available at the LA Auto Show right now. Porsche brought their brand new Porsche Macan to the LA Auto Show. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is their brand new mid-sized SUV designed to compete with the likes of the Mercedes GLK, the Volvo XC60, the BMW X3, and its own sister ship, the Audi Q5. It is based on the Audi Q5's platform, so it's related to the Audi Q5 and the Audi A4. However, only about 20% of the parts are shared, we're told. Nothing that's actually visible is shared, but it does use a version of the Volkswagen Audi 3.6-liter V6. The base 3.6-liter V6 produces 340 horsepower, and there is a turbo version that produces 400 horsepower, making this easily the most powerful mid-sized luxury SUV available in the United States. Previously, that was, strangely enough, the Volvo XC60 T6 with the Polestar package. That was previously the most powerful one, although very recently we now have an Audi SQ5, which is now going to compete with this Porsche Macan. The Porsche does look absolutely amazing in person. I was really quite impressed with the way that it looked, as well as the interior. The interior basically is a Porsche Panamera sort of jammed into the Porsche Macan body style and interior size. Very well executed. We're told to expect pricing somewhere around the $50,000 mark, which makes it kind of a reasonable proposition if you're willing to shop for a absolutely fully loaded BMW X3. Something like a Porsche Macan isn't that far off. It also means that you can get a Porsche SUV for an awful lot less than you can the larger, Porsche Cayenne, which is pretty darn expensive. One thing to note on that Porsche Macan is that it does have standard steel springs on most models, but unique in this segment, it does have an optional air suspension now. So it operates at a normal ride height that's a little bit lower than the steel spring suspension. It has an aero mode, it has a park mode, and it also has an off-road height mode to jack up that suspension to, we're told, around 9 inches of ground clearance, which is about the same as a Volvo XC60 or something like a Jeep Grand Cherokee in that range. Definitely higher than something like an Audi Q5 or a BMW X3. Not exactly news, but I did get a chance to sit inside the brand new Lincoln MKC. Looks excellent, doesn't look at all like the Ford Escape, on which it is loosely based. The interior does look very nicely done, and I think that overall the MKC comes across as more unique than the current generation Lincoln MKZ, which has received a little bit of mixed press in the market. Definitely something to take a look at, and we hope to have our hands on one for a full review here very soon. Audi announced some big news at the LA Auto Show. They now have an Audi A3 family rather than just an Audi A3 hatchback. So we have the Audi A3 sedan starting just under $30,000. It's available with 3 different engines. There are 2 turbocharged gasoline engines and a turbocharged diesel engine. There's going to be an A3 Sportback. Pricing hasn't been announced, but that's supposedly only going to come in a gasoline-electric hybrid model. And there's now a very attractive Audi A3 convertible. No pricing announced on that one either. We're also told to expect S models for some of those, not all of them necessarily. That's going to have a 296 horsepower version of that 2-liter turbocharged engine in it. I think for me, the biggest news at the LA Auto Show today on the first day is the brand new Kia K900 luxury sedan. What makes this so interesting is that 20 years ago, I would rather have had a bicycle than anything that Kia made. They didn't make a whole lot, they didn't sell very many of them, and they were truly terrible. But this is 20 years later, and this Kia is totally different. Where Kia is now making cars that compete head-on with the likes of Toyota, with the likes of Honda, and now they're going after something along the lines of an Infiniti or possibly a low-end Lexus. They're not directly trying to target German shoppers, although you can obviously see that's where they're going with something like a Kia K9. Size-wise, this is based off of the Hyundai Equus, not the Hyundai Genesis, which is an interesting twist because this is bigger than something like a Chrysler 300. It's a full rear-wheel drive luxury sedan with all the luxury features you would expect out of a full-size luxury car. We have a 3.8-liter direct injection V6 or a 5-liter direct injection V8 producing 420 horsepower. We have an 8-speed automatic transmission. We have LED headlamps, LED exterior tail lamps, turn signals, etc. A 12.3-inch LCD gauge cluster that's bigger than the one that Jaguar and Land Rover use. We have Napa leather interior, real wood trim, and an awful lot of real wood trim. We have a leather dash, laminated glass, 9.3-inch infotainment system, a color heads-up display, heated, cooled, reclining front seats and rear seats as well. And we're told that it's going to be available in spring of 2014. Pricing hasn't been announced, but Kia has said it's going to start around $50,000, and they don't expect the V8 fully loaded model to go much over $60,000. And that's really the big news there, because if you take a look at that feature set, even in something like a Lexus LS that's a sort of a discount option in the luxury segment, it's going to be more expensive than something like a Kia K900. Yes, the name isn't there, and Kia doesn't really expect to sell that many of them, but they do expect to try and bring it some sort of brand prestige, which I think is kind of an interesting way to go about this. They're going to sell them at regular old Kia dealers. You don't have some new brand associated with this. It's just Kia, and they're selling a K900 right there at the dealer, has the same Kia warranty, etc. Good or bad, some people like Kia, some people don't, but I think that that's quite an interesting vehicle. I would probably own one of those before I bought something like a Lexus LS. That's just because I'm cheap. BMW brought a few things to the auto show. We have the brand new 4 Series convertible, which is really just a 3 Series convertible, except that now they're calling it a 4 Series convertible. So everything that you'd expect from a 3 Series convertible, just add a 4. We also have the brand new BMW i8. Now that really is an interesting vehicle. This is their first performance electric vehicle with a range extender, so it's an electric rear-wheel drive vehicle with a 3-cylinder gasoline engine jammed in there to help recharge the battery pack. It's made of all carbon fiber and has some really cool gull-wing doors. Then we have the BMW i3, which is their front-wheel drive range extending gasoline electric thingy. You can get it in just the electric version, or you can get it with the range-extending motorcycle engine jammed into the back. However, initially it will only be available in the electric version. We're told that the range is somewhere around 80 miles. It's also carbon fiber, and it has a totally funky IKEA-themed interior with eucalyptus wood, some recycled plastic here and there. It looks like someone took apart some black plastic trim bits from 1980s cars, ripped them to shreds, and then jammed them in a mold, and then they molded the dashboard out of that. It's kind of an interesting look, but everything does have a high-quality feel to it. It really does feel lightweight, however, on the interior, so very much like the Prius feels like it's built to a weight rather than to a price. That's definitely going on in the BMW i3, although it's undeniably premium. Lastly, from the BMW group, we have the Mini, because Mini is part of BMW, and the brand new Mini is, well, it's not so mini anymore. The Mini has grown yet again, and when you park it right next to the original Mini, you can see how big this thing is. It's about 4 inches bigger than the last generation Mini, making this the most maxi Mini of ever. It's really hard to redesign retro, so not a whole lot's changed. It just sort of looks like it's been puffed up a little bit. On the inside, they finally moved the speedometer back to where it belongs. That's behind the steering wheel rather than in the center of the car. We have a new, larger infotainment display there if you opt for the infotainment display. Otherwise, it's just used for some buttons. That's been my quick overview of day 1 at the 2013 Los Angeles International Auto Show. If you liked this and you want to see more, then go ahead and comment in that comment section down below, and we'll see you tomorrow with episode 2, unless you don't want me to have an episode 2, and then I will see you later with a regular car review.